All right. It's 8:06 p.m. on the 17th, and my friends in the Telegram chat are asking about keto, and as well as that, my buddies on Social Galactic are also starting a keto group. So I wanted to do a video for everyone, my little beginner's guide to the keto diet and getting into keto, maintaining it, and burning some fucking weight so you can look like your sexy self for white boy summer. Okay, so first thing, I want to let you know that keto isn't just not eating carbs or eating a low carb diet or eating high fat. Like my brother, for example, he had this book, the Keto Recipe Book, and it was full of like stuff you can make with heavy whipping cream and peanut butter. And I was like, bro, this you might think this is keto because you're getting lower carbs in the meal, but this is not going to put you into ketosis. And he's like, that's just like what serious people do. It's like, no, that's what keto is. Keto is when you have burned all the glycogen hormone away from your body, and your body needs to produce, or it needs to feed itself with glucose. And so what it does is it starts excreting this hormone called a ketone, which burns your fat so that it can convert that into glucose and feed your brain and your body. You will die without glucose, but you've got a ton of energy reserves all over your body in the form of body fat that your body has a very cool system to burn when it needs it. So it's like if you're fat, you've basically stored a whole bunch of extra energy on your body, like your battery is way over full. And to activate the battery and start burning the battery instead of constantly adding onto the battery, you just got to go into keto, and then you will burn the battery, and eventually you will be shredded and godlike. So I do like these, right? And you don't have to get these, but these are fun because you can know pretty accurately if you're in ketosis or not. So if you've been eating a standard American diet, you're fat, and then you switch to like, the fat diet, the protein, and the zero carbs, it's going to take maybe, depending on how you eat, could take all the way up to 5 days to get into ketosis from the date you stop eating carbs. For some people who don't eat a ton of carbs and eat a little bit of a cleaner diet, it might take them 2 or 3 days. But if you're like me, where I would eat like pizza and ice cream and I'd eat meat, but I'd eat rice and I'd eat bread too, it'd take me a good 5 days to get into ketosis. And you take these little sticks out from this little box, this little jar, and you basically pee on them. If you're a guy, it's pretty easy. You just hold one over your dick before you, right when you start peeing, you take it away, and you put it on top of your toilet, and if you're in ketosis, it will start turning pink really fast. You don't have to sit there and wait for like a minute. It'll turn pink in like 5 to 10 seconds. And then it will start turning purple when you're really going. That's how you know you're like, woo, I'm in ketosis. If you're a girl, you're going to have to like, do it that way. I don't know. Stick it down there when you're sitting on the toilet. Yeah, anyway, you just pee on these sticks basically. Maybe you pee in a cup and dip it in, whatever you want. But I just pee on this, put it on my toilet, and then that's how I know I'm in ketosis. It's kind of nice to know. You don't have to fucking test yourself because you will definitely be in ketosis at some point. Your body cannot not be in ketosis, quite frankly. It's really hard when you're not eating carbs to actually break ketosis. You can technically do it with protein, but you have to eat like 300 something grams of protein in a day. Like really best of luck doing that. That's actually really hard to do, so it's unlikely you'll be able to pull that off. So yeah, you'll be in ketosis regardless, and if you want to know when you are, then you can get these test strips. They're pretty cheap. You do not need to get them though. It's optional. Literally $7. You get them in 2 days if you have Amazon Prime. Okay, so in terms of the diet and what I do, I basically eat red meat and eggs. I picked this up, or I put this link on the page, the chuck steak, because I've had a lot of different steaks, and from a cost perspective, this is about half the price of a pound of ribeye. Like a pound of ribeye is $15 on average. A pound of chuck is $7.50, maybe $7, and it tastes seriously, in my opinion, just as good as ribeye. Some ribeye fans may get really upset about that, me saying that, but I think a chuck steak tastes just as good. It's the same kind of steak. Like like other cuts of steak have their own taste. This tastes very similar to a ribeye and is half the price. If you really want to go even more affordable, you can always get ground beef. I used to eat nothing but ground beef, and I'm like super sick of ground beef, so I don't do that anymore. I try to avoid it because of the taste, personally, but this is what I like, and I eat about 2 pounds of this a day with a couple eggs, and I am in ketosis still. I pee on the little thing, and I'm like, yep, doesn't break keto. I'm in keto. Pretty high in protein if you're lifting weights, right? Because a lot of keto people don't lift weights, and they focus more on eating fat. And a lot of keto websites will tell you to have more fat than protein, and that's the way you do it. Personally, that's not the way I do it. I think you'll get a lot leaner if you kind of balance protein and fat out. Fat is still fat. It's not as bad as carbs in a lot of ways, but it does convert to body fat a lot easier. Now, when you're in keto, though, your body's going to burn it pretty quick. So, yeah, I don't know. I like to be strong. I like to be lean and cut. So I have a higher protein to fat ratio in my version of keto, which is definitely still keto, than what most of the basic sites will tell you to be like 80% fat and 20% protein, which that's not my thing. I'm more of a 50-50. In fact, I probably lean heavier on protein certain days. Super important that I want to go over. You definitely cannot avoid this. You need electrolytes, and here's why. So when you eat fewer carbs, your body produces less insulin. Those insulin lower levels will lead to you pissing out all your electrolytes, which is your sodium, your potassium, your magnesium, and you will start feeling this headache, tiredness, dizziness, confusion, irritability. The tiredness is where I get the most. Like, I don't feel the headache much. I didn't get too dizzy or confused, but I was so tired. There was days where I'd be like, I just took so much caffeine. Why do I still feel tired? And then I'd pull out a pack of snake juice. This is one way of getting it, and I felt immediately better, and all of a sudden the caffeine kicked in because I was so depleted on electrolytes. You gotta take electrolytes. Most people are gonna fail at keto because they think it's just a low-carb diet and that's it, and they stop there, and then 4 days later they're like, fuck, I feel so shitty. Then they go to Pizza Hut, and they go to Taco Bell, and they just gorge, and the next 3 days they're gorging on food to replenish the way they felt before, and they're fatter than they were before. All they were really needing was electrolytes. Carb-based food is very high in electrolyte. You don't realize that. So you eat the good stuff for the junk food, and you're getting a ton of electrolytes, but with all the bad stuff. So I take this snake juice. The guy who makes this, I forget his name, is Cole something. He's like a professional faster. He's not like just keto. He's fasting. He straight up doesn't eat for like a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks at a time, and he does that because he believes that it is definitely a good way to prevent cancer. And fasting is just a different thing. We won't talk about it for this video, but you're in ketosis when you fast, just the same way you are when you don't eat carbs. Your body is getting no food, and that includes carbs, so you go into keto when you're fasting too. So you gotta have electrolytes. Snake juice is expensive for what it is. It's basically pink Himalayan salt and a couple extra things, but I like it. You definitely can make your own by buying pink Himalayan salt and whatever the ingredients are. Let's take a look if I can see it. He had it right there. It's hard to see. Magnesium something, sodium is pink Himalayan salt, potassium chloride. Oh yeah, that's the other one. The other one you can bake. So you can basically make this, dude. No salt is potassium chloride. It's literally, well, I wouldn't get citrate. I would get chloride version, to be honest, because I think citrate might run through you kind of hard. But no salt is basically salt that isn't salt, right? It's potassium chloride instead of sodium chloride, and people used to get it as a substitute for seasoning their food because their doctors would say the salt is giving you high blood pressure. So if you combine pink Himalayan salt and no salt, which you get in the powdered form somewhere, you can basically make snake juice on your own and not pay $40. I'm lazy, so I have the $40 stuff, but a much cheaper one that I also take is fasting fuel. It is definitely Good too. It's got a couple extra supplements in it for like fat burning and appetite suppression and whatnot, but it has it has magnesium and sodium and potassium in it, although not in the same quantity as no salt. I basically wake up in the morning, or as snake juice. I basically wake up in the morning and I take my caffeine with a cup of snake juice. So basically, I drink salt water, and then I'm feeling great. And then throughout the day, if I feel anything, I'll pop some of these, and these are good too. But you absolutely cannot do keto without electrolytes. I cannot stress that enough. And I mean, to be honest, you could die. Like, your organs need electrolytes or they could fail. So don't try to power through it. Don't try to like willpower through keto without electrolytes. It's really, really bad. And that's the thing that people don't get about keto. What else? MCT oil. You might hear that this is like super popular because of bulletproof coffee. Bulletproof coffee is basically a guy who makes his own coffee beans, who tells you to blend his coffee with half a stick of butter and like a teaspoon or 2 tablespoons of MCT oil. I think that's a lot of fat personally. Like, if you were gonna do that, like, I wouldn't eat 2 pounds of meat in the same day as well. You're gonna eat so many calories that you're not gonna lose any weight. MCT oil is medium chain triglycerides. They turn into ketones very fast and they get used by your brain pretty quick. So some people consider it like brain food when you're on keto. It kind of can give you a weird energy boost if you pair it up with coffee and butter. But to be honest, I find, because I eat so much meat, that I don't want to add too much more fat than what's already in the meat because I'm trying to lose weight. So I have a jar of this stuff in my house. I just don't use it often. But you can if you want. Like, if you wanted to eat a pound of meat a day instead of 2, I might say, okay, then do your bulletproof coffee as well to like make up for that lack of calories you're going to get for the pound of meat. But I do 2 pounds of meat. I'm like a red meat nut guy. I'm kind of more of a carnivore keto guy, if you want to call me that. But anyway, it works. I've been in keto since I think the 27th of April. I have been like pissing multiple times a day on strips, like a obsessive compulsive keto person. Like, I really don't need to be doing that, but just to kind of making sure, to make sure that I've stayed on keto, because there have been a couple times where, like, my family wants to go to Olive Garden on Sunday. And what I do is I get a chicken parmesan. I literally tell them not to put the sauce on it and to put it in a side cup. I give my son the soup that comes with it, since it's Olive Garden. I give my son the breadsticks that come with it because it's Olive Garden. And I give him the sauce and the pasta. It comes with pasta. He gets all the carbs for free. He gets to eat my chicken parm. I just eat the chicken, and I give him some of it too. But the chicken's breaded, so it does have a few carbs in it. It's breaded chicken covered in cheese. That breaded chicken probably has some carbohydrates in it, but not enough to break keto, because I tested myself every time I ate it, and I never broke keto. So it had to be under 20 to 30 grams of carbs from the breaded chicken. And that, technically, you can stay in keto by having low carbs. You don't have to go zero carb. You can go low carb. However, I personally have an easier time with zero carbs because it's just easier personally. Once I start having, like, I noticed it when I had the breaded chicken. All of a sudden, I wanted more carbohydrates. I could actually feel it. It gave me a craving for them that I had to kind of willpower away. So yeah, I almost forgot why we started talking about that, but you can eat low carbs on keto, but you have to count the carbs. You have to be aware of how much you're eating, and you have to minimize it. Anyway, I think that's enough information, like a basic keto guide. The stuff I really want you to take away is eat fat, eat protein, and get electrolytes. You have to. I don't want to hear about people passing out because they didn't get electrolytes, and take electrolytes. Magnesium, potassium, and sodium. Salt. Got to do it. All right, there we go. See ya.